Speedplay cleats promise a quick click in after stoppages and an end to spinning pedals around with your toes to get them the right way up. I was sick of getting left behind at the traffic lights, faffing around with my Look or Shimano pedals, while the cool kids with their shiny Speedplays put 5 bike lengths into me on our club rides. I thought, I need some of that. I jumped in the deep end, spending nearly 1,500 Australian dollars on a pair of Speedplay PowerLink power meter pedals before I'd even tried the standard Speedplays, which perhaps was an optimistic leap of faith. The first thing that I learned about Speedplay is that each cleat has a lot of components. A standard Look or Shimano has 1 plastic triangle cleat, 3 bolts and 3 washers. That's it. The Speedplay cleats have a plastic base, a choice of 2 sizes of front shim and 2 sizes of rear shim to flatten out the sole of the cycling shoe, 3 bolts to hold the plastic plate in place, then a metal plate with 4 smaller bolts, a metal spring, and then a rubber housing for the base plate and a rubber protector for the outward face. That is 13 separate components for each cleat. It takes about 30 seconds to install a Shimano or a Look cleat. Takes a hell of a lot longer than that to install a Speedplay cleat. And you have to make sure that you have the left and the right cleats on the correct shoe. I think I need a lie down. It is quite a long process to set up Speedplay cleats, but because the cleat itself is metal and the pedal engagement surface is metal, they will last much longer than a Look or Shimano cleat will, and you may have to replace those several times a year. I've had this first set of Speedplay cleats on my shoes for over 12 months now, and they are still going strong. A set of Shimano or Look cleats will cost around about $25, whereas the full shebang, all of the components that you need to set up Speedplay cleats, will cost around $80. From a user interface point of view, besides the fact that the pedals are double-sided, the big advantage of the Speedplay system is that the float, or the amount of rotation available between the pedal and the cleat, can be easily adjusted and precisely set by these 2 worm screws. The reason that you want some float in your cleat pedal interface is that it gives a little bit more freedom of motion to the knee and the ankle joint, which is in the long run going to help prevent injuries. Neither the knee nor the ankle are pure hinge joints, and they will both have a little bit of lateral movement and a little bit of rotational movement as part of their flexion and extension. Yes, both Shimano and Look cleats are available with differing amount of float, but the point is, once you've chosen a particular cleat, you can't change the float. Originally, I thought that these rubber cleat protectors were a great idea, as they would prevent the metal cleat from sliding on a slippery surface when walking. So I installed them, yet another component of the complex Speedplay system, and I was ready to roll. I do love the fact that the Speedplay pedals are dual-sided, so you don't have to flip them over to engage with the pedal surface, but it's still not that simple, or at least I don't find it to be. I still fail sometimes to click in properly, particularly when the pedal is not sitting horizontal underneath my shoe. Often if the pedal is spun around to a vertical position, I find that it sometimes gets stuck in the cleat in that position without flipping around to the horizontal. This then requires me to lift my foot, reposition the pedal, which is the exact issue that I was trying to avoid with both Shimano and Look pedals. Sometimes the pedal is pretty close to fully clicked in, but not quite, requiring several pedal strokes and changes of pressure application to get it seated properly. I spent many weeks musing over how to deal with this. Do I need to flick the pedal to precisely the right position before the lights turn green? Do I need to change the angle of my foot before I push the shoe into the pedal? Am I just a slow learner and do I need more practice? Should I just sell the Speedplay PowerLink pedals and go back to Look? Should I learn to track stand and never uncleat again? And then the answer came to me in an epiphany. Actually, it was purely accidental. At the end of a ride one day, walking into a cafe, I heard a clack, clack, clack coming from my left cycling shoe. And on close inspection, I had lost the rubber cleat cover. It had dislodged and fallen off sometime during the ride. Initially I was a bit annoyed because you have to buy these rubber cleat covers in pairs and I only needed the left-hand side one, and I'd already spent a fortune on the PowerLink pedals and cleats anyway. While I was musing and pondering what to do over the course of several weeks, I realised that I was actually cleating in a lot more easily now than I had been before. I was having less trouble with the pedal being in the wrong position, either getting stuck vertically in the cleat or not clicking in properly. I realise it now because the metal cleat could slide across the metal pedal body. Rather than sticking to the rubber cleat cover, it was automatically finding the right position and the right angle naturally more often without me having to make adjustments. So for the last 12 months, I've continued to ride with only the right cleat covered and the left cleat uncovered. I always and only uncleat with my left foot so that I'm leaning away from traffic at any stoppages, remembering that I'm in Australia and we drive on the left side of the road. I'm much happier now with the speed and accuracy of cleating back in. There is one small downside, which is that the left foot tends to slide a little more on a smooth surface. Putting my left foot down on a bitumen road is no problem because the surface is so rough and grippy anyway. However, at traffic lights, I often look to touch down either on the traffic islands, which surround the traffic lights, or the curb, which are normally about 4 to 6 inches higher than the road. This allows me to sit and wait in a more comfortable position, still in the saddle. If the concrete is very smooth, or if it's been freshly painted, then the exposed metal cleat will tend to slip and slide a little bit. So I need to make sure that my bike is at a complete stop first before I put my foot down and that I'm completely balanced. I've decided to keep this accidentally lopsided setup as it works well for me. Yes, it means that I'll wear through my left metal cleat a little more quickly, but I'm happy with that trade-off. So long as I don't go for a slide at the lights and fall over in front of all of my cycling buddies and all of the stock traffic. So a good and fairly obvious question right about now is, why don't I just take off the other cleat cover so that when I'm walking I'm not lopsided and one foot higher than the other? I'm not particularly worried about protecting the right side cleat, but I am definitely concerned about looking after my safety when I'm getting on and off the bike, when I'm walking around in a cafe or anywhere else in my cycling shoes. At least if I've got one cleat cover with its rubber base, it's far less likely that I'm going to slip over.